Tucker Carlson, came under fire recently when he was talking about pregnant women in the Army. Now we have to back up a little bit because this situation is a bit weird. So first of all, here's a clip of Tucker basically offering his opinion on this subject.
Nothing matters more than what Joe Biden does to our U.S. military. Our military is the last functional institution of any size in this country. It's the last institution most people trust and respect. It is by far the most important. A weak military means no country, period. So on Monday, when we saw Joe Biden pledge to bring a, quote, intensity of purpose and mission to really change the culture and habits of the U.S. military, we paid attention to it. Here's what Biden said.
Some of it's relatively straightforward work, where we're making good progress designing body armor that fits women properly, tailoring combat uniforms for women, creating maternity flight suits, updating requirements for their hairstyles.
Creating maternity flight suits. Maybe those suits have been around for a while. We'd never heard of them. But here was the President of the United States promoting them at a press conference. And that phrase stuck out, not because we have some hateful bias against pregnant women flying military jets. We're pro-pregnancy, as we often say. We're also open-minded. Maybe pregnant women make the best pilots. The Department of Defense measures everything, so there's got to be extensive research on this question. If the Pentagon can show that pregnant pilots are the best, we will be the first to demand an entire Air Force of pregnant pilots. The problem is we're pretty confident that Joe Biden hasn't asked to see those numbers. We'd bet money that Joe Biden never even thought to ask. The rest of us depend on the U.S. military to protect our families and protect the country itself. But Joe Biden doesn't see it that way. Finding the most effective military pilots or infantry officers or SEAL teams is not his priority. It's not even close to his priority. Identity politics is Joe Biden's priority. It's all that matters.
This is when identity politics has some serious problems, specifically when it comes down to you and me, because it's no longer some philosophical thing. Now we're actually talking about the protection of our border, the protection of our country. And it started with men infiltrating women's sports. Now they're basically saying, well, women can do whatever men do, even if they're pregnant. And they can defend this country, and it's morally right to let them do that. That's where we're at right now. So a sergeant here on Twitter decided to be woke. He decided that he was going to take the moral high ground here and basically tell Tucker exactly what his opinion of this entire situation is.
Drama TV. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I call it. I'll apologize up front and tell you that I don't have cable news at home. I don't have it here in the office, and I don't watch a lot of drama TV. I understand some comments were made yesterday, and I watched the clip that Mr. Carlson produced as he referred to pregnant women in the military. I'll remind everyone that his opinion, which he has a right to, is based off of actually 0 days of service in the armed forces. Let me offer you my opinion. My opinion is based off of 28 years of actual service in the military, 28 years in the Marine Corps, in combat operations out at sea and in garrison. And so he was talking specifically about pregnant women in the armed forces today and how it makes us less lethal and less fit and less ready. Let me tell you where he's wrong. Those decisions were made by medical professionals, by commanders, and our civilian leadership that allows for women to have more time with their children, to recuperate, to get fit and ready, to take that time that's necessary that our medical professionals know is needed, which actually makes us a more lethal and ready and fit force, ready to fight the wars of today and the wars of tomorrow. The bottom line is that we value women in our armed forces. We value those that have served in the past, and we value those that have served today. We value our families in the military. I want to say God bless everyone that is serving today. God bless the women that are serving today. God bless the men and women that are serving today. God bless our country, our partners, and our allies. Let's get back to work. Let's remember that those opinions were made by an individual who has never served a day in his life. Let's remember that's all about drama TV. God bless America. Semper Fidelis.
It really bothers me when people have to misrepresent the argument of someone else in order to make their argument valid. So you saw the clip from Tucker Carlson. He didn't say anything bad about women serving in the military, believe it or not. He took issue with the fact that you shouldn't be sending pregnant women with unborn children into active live fire combat zones. That's a bad idea. I don't understand how people are perfectly fine with this. That doesn't sound like a very good idea as far as it goes for protecting the country, not only for the women that are involved in it, but also just ethically as well. It's not safe for the baby. I guess this just kind of goes right in line with the rest of what the left believes, that there's nothing inside the womb when they're actually pregnant in the first place, that it's not really alive. That's what they believe. So I guess it kind of goes in line with that. But either way, it's not good to do that. And you can't expect women that are pregnant to be able to do the same physical types of things that other men or just normal women would be able to do. So, yet this guy is going to bash Tucker for not having served on the basis for his ideas being wrong. I don't think people understand how dangerous that is. Because basically what you have is a military person, or just a military person, basically saying, because you haven't served, you don't get to have an opinion on it. Okay, well, let's take 90% of the people that are in politics today. 90% of the people that are in politics today that are also the ones that are typically determining what the military does have not served, by the way, folks. So are they not able to tell you what to do because you're in the military? Look, at the end of the day, the point being with all of this is that this is exactly what the left loves to do with so many arguments. Think about it. They do it with the women argument. When they were talking about the wage gap for women, of course, which is a complete myth that they can't prove. But when they bring that up and a man says, hey, that doesn't exist, here's the statistics showing that it doesn't exist, then they'll say, until you're a woman, you don't get to comment on this. It's this immediate shutdown. It's this immediate just trying to discredit somebody just because they didn't fill some specific role or check some specific box that you had. And the problem is with that kind of thing is that you basically limit the discussions down. I mean, would it really matter to this guy if somebody that was in the military felt the same way that Tucker did? I highly doubt it. But this is what you have the left doing. You can't comment on this unless you are this. You can't comment on this unless you are identified this way. That means you don't get to comment on this thing. Well, obviously that doesn't make sense. First of all, the military is supposed to be apolitical. Okay, in other words, they don't get involved in the particular presidency or who's saying what, or especially somebody like Tucker Carlson, who's just a political commentator on a news network. That's not what they're supposed to be talking about or dealing with. Keep in mind that these tweets, that video there was posted to the official government account of one of that actual military account on Twitter. So this is not like it's his personal Twitter. I mean, you might as well just put this out on your work email or put it out on your work Twitter. This kind of stuff should not be allowed to happen. And here's another tweet that I have a picture posted here, where you have another guy, and this is from the MEF Information Group, another official account from the government military, where they're saying, come back when you've served and have been pregnant. So now we just keep adding stuff to the list, of course. Once again, I'm tired of the left-wing people making these types of arguments. These aren't arguments. That's not a rebuttal. You're not shooting them down. You're literally just saying, don't say anything. You're not allowed to comment unless you fill these boxes. And they'll just keep adding things to the list of things that you need to qualify for before you can apparently give your opinion. Oh, before you've been pregnant and this and that and served in this many years. Okay, 8 years, 10 years now. That's the problem that we're dealing with here. So the U.S. Marine Corps later walked back the post after taking heat for launching political attacks against a civilian and media figure. Once again, we're talking about Tucker here. So the unit, and this is a quote from them, the unit is currently reviewing their internal procedures for social media posts. While the post was intended to show support for women in the military, it was not executed according to the standards of decorum expected on the Marine Corps social media platforms. Look, honestly, even if they were going to make a post about showing support for women, this is not their place. It's not their place to do this. Because the reason why they're doing it is that it's in response to somebody on Fox News. Why are they making comments about this in the first place? This has nothing to do with them. Yet they're for some reason trying to pretend as if this is the case. And the reason why Tucker is concerned, and I think everybody should be concerned about this, is because we're talking about a military that, while we haven't really been paying much attention to it, has become a lot more woke. A lot more things have been taking place that are basically weakening the military because we soften things. We don't want people to get their feelings hurt. And as a result, it's not the strong force that it once was. You just watched a clip from The William Hall Show. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.